Welcome back to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. And today I am joined by a really good friend of mine, Juliet Mayhew, who I have known. Well, when did we meet each other?
Oh my gosh, at least 15 years ago. I'm thinking of it now. But you know me of me because well, our mutual friends and you my husband for so long.
Yes, so I was very good friends with her husband. And before you all asked, no, nothing happened. Or we wouldn't be sat here, I don't think. Did we ever snog? I don't think so.
He's never told me that.
I don't think we
I'm
did.
going to find out when I get home.
Okay, well, you ask him. I'll never remember. I'm called the goldfish.
No, but you used to party a lot. Like
Yeah,
back
we
in the
did.
day with Jerry Halliwell.
We did.
Did we take the big table? What's it? Titanic.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny
China
because
Whites.
my husband always used to get, my husband now always says to me, oh, you know, your partying days and how do you know if you snog this person? Let me tell you everything. We had wild days, but I have never snogged or woken up with someone I didn't want to.
And also, I know my husband, as much as he's a charmer, he would have actually...
Oh, I'm not talking about your husband.
Oh, just
We're off your husband. I'm not back on snogging your husband, Juliet. We did not snog. I think I would know.
I think he would know too.
I think he would know, yes. I think one of us would have remembered it, or I hope we would. I mean, we can't both be that shit. No, we didn't snog. So let's just set that out before that becomes something. My point is that, you know, I think when girls go, I don't know, I don't remember. I think you do.
You do remember. Of course you remember.
We all partied, you know. Anyway, so...
it's whether you'd like to remember it or not.
Yes, exactly. I think now it's so funny because I think you came to see me, if I think back. I was doing a reunion of Housewives, wasn't I? I was in New York. And you were in New York and we were having a girls' time and I was going through reunion. Now, anyone that's watched Housewives or knows out there, reunion is horrific. And
I've got mine coming up.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. And, you know, along comes Juliet bounding along, you know, all innocent, going, I've been asked to do Housewives. And at the time I'm going, oh, my God. But again, I've always said, just as I did with Stephanie Chauget, I will never tell somebody not to do it because I feel like unless you do it, you're always going to have that niggling like, should I have?
And I think in life, you just got to take a risk. I mean, you can't teach your children to not take risks and then not try it. You're never going to know. I mean, obviously, you act with wisdom. And I think when I asked you, you were totally honest with me.
What did I say?
Well, you said, like, it's a roller coaster, pretty much. But, you know, that you wouldn't be where you were now had you not done it. Like, it's had a real impact on your life, where you are, life, highs and lows.
I think back, and you've known me since Ladies of London, obviously, and obviously it's a different type of show, but it was the same one. I think we got away a little bit easier in Ladies of London than you probably are on Housewives. Housewives is a different kettle of fish.
I completely agree. And also we're much more advanced now. I mean, we're like having to hit it high. You think about how many series have gone on. We're London.
Yeah.
We can't like, you know, warm our way up like the original Ladies of London or the original first series of the other shows. Bit like now.
Yours sounds horrific. I am getting the updates. It's so funny because actually I know...
My confidant.
Yeah, well, not only you, I've got Juliet Angus on there as well. So I get the two Juliets. And it's so funny to hear because I thought Housewives of Dubai was brutal. But my God, you're having an initiation by fire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Fire. And the funny thing is, you know, looking, and I really thought about it because I was like, well, I actually think I said this to you. I thought that you would have an easier time because you were semi-friends with the girls, right? I know a lot of the girls on the show, get on with the girls. I like the girls, you know. I mean, but I'm not in this position. But the one thing that Housewives does is create this unbelievable sense of competition between the women.
Yeah.
That the production, you think the production does, but it's not.
Do you know, that is something that, you know, having worked as an actor and, you know, you're in a cesspit really of like you're only as good as your last job and you're under scrutiny all the time being judged. And it could just be a really simple thing like they're looking for someone with dark hair and you're blonde or my Australian accent's too strong or, you know, it is what it is. Casting wise, you forget those moments. And being in this, it's like, oh my gosh, like you and I are really confident in who we are. We don't sit there like niggling like, oh my gosh, they've got this, we don't look like left or right. We're like on our own journey. So to go back into like a pool of people who like this competition is just rife is something I've actually like, just having to go back and process and like teaching. You've got a daughter. I've got a daughter. She's nearly 18, off to university. I don't want her to be in that place. I want her to like just be confident in who she is. Like constantly reminding myself, like you have to set a standard.
It feels very personal. That's the problem.
It does feel personal.
When you're acting or you go into something, I haven't been an actor. I've only ever done reality TV. So, but I did one show with my friends and family, as you know, and one show with people that I had just met.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking back and looking at you because I was like, for a minute, obviously my good friends are on this new show. And I was like, oh, would I have liked to been there? And then I get, because I didn't have the best time in Dubai, as you know. But then I get the updates and I'm thinking, fuck, bring back my Dubai cast anytime. I don't want to do it. I actually think it's worse. I wasn't sure, but now I think it's worse. I think it's harder.
Let's see how the show rolls out. Let's see how it's edited. You never know. And I think that's the thing. And also you are in your own like world, and I overanalyze everything and think it through. And like going back to like that sensitive soul, you said like you have to like grow a rhinoceros hide and get things in perspective. Like at the end of the day, it's a show, right? We've got such big lives.
Well, it is a show, but the trouble is it's a show based on our real lives. So it's not, the things they say hurt because, it is somebody niggling at what your core values are.
That's very true.
And that does hurt no matter what. We all have thick skin, and I maybe got through it because I'm like, well, these women don't know me from Adam. So when they were saying, you've never worked, you've never owned a home, you don't have a job, it seemed, you guys could watch it here and go, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We've known her for years.
Yeah.
Of course she has a home. Of course she works, right? All of these things, because you all knew who I was.
Yeah.
But these are people that have known you forever saying these awful things.
No, because I think that's the difference actually, is that being an associate friend or a social friend is the way I should say it. They really don't know the core of who I am. So I think it's actually very reflective to what you've gone through. They think they know. They've got like maybe a conjured up gossipy story that they think they might know about your life. But, you think of your very close friends that know, your story and what you really do. It's like, maybe just on two hands, or people you do life with. They're not going to do a show like this. So I think there is a relatively small part of them knowing who I am. But I would say as well, like one of the girls I knew 6 years ago, the girl who I am today, COVID changed a lot of people, and we move on. Like we evolve. I hope I hope I never become stagnant, because I think that's where you fail in life. I'm constantly trying to better myself, grow. So I think, you can assume you know someone, but I actually don't think you do know that person unless you really stand alongside them and do life with them or get them.
No, and I think the growth that we all have through the years also, as you said, I've realized going forward and changing my life so much, who stayed with me, who hasn't, who got to know me, who gets to know the new me. Even if you see me from after COVID, from, getting remarried to winning my court case, I'm a completely different human.
Yeah, and I would say like what's been so lovely about having known you this period of time and seeing you as a young mother, and now seeing, your daughter at university and seeing the process of sadly having to have gone through divorce, but then having this beautiful romance with Sergio and seeing you relive life again. And just, I feel like it's like a rebirth. Like it's like this butterfly has just come out of her cocoon. And that's so encouraging, gives so much hope. But also what I notice about you is actually, I've known you for some time. You've always been bubbly and loud and happy and confident. But when I see you socially, which is a way like me, I just sit and watch, and sometimes obviously quite quiet. And I see that you're quite reserved in that. And that's probably some protection which has come through the show. Yeah. And that's wisdom. And I think in life, you've got to grow with wisdom. And, it's amazing having this personality that the world's in love with, but they think they know you. But actually, I know when I see you with your fans and everything, you're always very gracious to them. You're always very happy. But those sacred kind of times of are confidential. Like those are protected. You're very good at doing that and setting that boundary.
Well, I think, and I always have said, I'm very, very lucky in the level of fame I've had, because I call myself a stealth reality star. because I've been on TVs for such
You're a
a long
geriatric reality star.
I've been on TV for such a long time, but I've got away with it where I have a very nice life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm recognized everywhere I go, but people leave you alone. They write you beautiful messages. They, you know, some people come up, but like messages and messages every day. And, you know, I live a beautiful life like that with my husband. And I think because there's two of us, we get, you know, obviously we're more easily recognizable. And, you know, we have this where we can lead a normal life, but we can also, you know, have this glamorous life, which is what I always wanted. I've never wanted that level of fame that you can't walk down the street.
Yeah.
You know, that to me seems, you know, what are we doing this for? And what am I doing this for is a nicer life for all of us, not a life where I'm, you know, stuck in my house and, you know, scrutinized going to the shops. I don't want that.
And I think, you know, I was doing an interview this morning and they said to me, like, you know, how's this going to change your life? And I think the difference with you and I, we've been in a really privileged position that we've lived a very big life. I've lived all over the world. You've now lived all over the world. You've moved countries. I think different cultures, we've been exposed to a lot.
And we have a lot of famous friends.
Yes.
So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, I have really famous friends, and I see how affected they can be.
Yeah.
And as much as I love them, I also see how reserved they are, how, you know, careful they are. And I feel like you miss so much when you have to live like that.
Yeah, I agree. But I think also with that, you know, you're only, you know, life's like a vapor. It can come and go. So like living in the moment, which I know you just live life to the max. I live life to the max. Making the most of where you're at is probably why you have done so well. And I would hope like the energy that you have is an energy that I, you know, have, is that we just go into a situation and just go for it.
Well, I didn't even give you a proper introduction. So Juliet was an actress. She's also a party planner, an events planner, and now in Housewives. And you do so many different things. And I love that about you, because I used to think that you have to hone yourself into one thing to be taken seriously, because otherwise people say you're a jack of all trades and master of none. And now, let me tell you, as an older woman, I have understood, unless you have 7 sources of income, you know, you cannot really live the life that we're all trying to live.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that means being a jack of all trades.
A hustler.
A hustler. And, you know, that word used to be derogatory, and I actually think it's not. I'm happy and proud to be a hustler. I hustle every fucking day with my husband to get to where we are. And we have Bali, we have the podcast, we have a wellness brand, I have a homeware brand coming out, we have, you know, an Airbnb company, we have, Sergio.
You're doing the holidays to empower women.
Retreats.
Which is just amazing.
You know, how many that, and then we've bust the label. We've got, anyway, over probably 9.
And managing your husband.
Yes.
The children.
The children, my husband. And, you know,
wife and mother are very important. That comes at the top.
100%. That's almost 9 different businesses we run. And, you know, and I'm still going. I mean, my homeware line's coming out any minute, you know. Tell me, everyone, what you do.
So, I mean,
in a day.
I would say, in a day. I look, I'm a kind of person like you. Staying stagnant just doesn't work for me. And I think, you know, give a busy woman something to do, they get it done. That is always the mantra. You know, you don't give someone a task to do who's bored, because
by
they'll
the way,
just procrastinate.
Ladies, if you've got friends out there that are procrastinating and that put things off to tomorrow, share this episode. You know, you should share this with the girls, because, you know, we are 2 very different women and we believe exactly the same thing. She and I have ants in our pants. And that's what gets shit done.
Yeah. And also, you know, we're ambitious. And I think it's not a bad thing to be ambitious. I think, you know, always take an opportunity, never not take it. That's what I say. Just go for it.
And it doesn't matter if you fail. I think that's what people get so scared of. You know, look,
failure is so good for you.
When I go on TV shows
Builds
now,
character.
you know, and I'm doing a few shows this year, and I'm sure we'll do more. And you're doing a show. We could both come out looking like absolute twats. And there is no guarantee. But that doesn't stop us, because looking like a twat won't kill us.
Yeah, try again.
Yes, we'll get over it. Yeah. You know, it's like chip paper. You're going to laugh for a second, but you're laughing, you'll remember us, and we'll have the last laugh, because you'll still know who we are.
And we've given it a go.
We've given it a go. And looking like a twat for 5 minutes is better than sitting at home doing absolutely nothing.
I completely agree. I think you never can find out in life if you don't try. And I think that's really how I've lived such an extraordinary life, really. When you talk about what
Oh
I've
my
done.
God. Yes. I remember, this really made me laugh. Actually, I wish I could find this photo. I might have to get the photo before this podcast goes up, and you might have to send it to my husband
Okay.
so that I can flash
I know
this
what
on
she's
the
gonna
screen.
say.
She decided, God knows. So we were all a group of friends, Holly Valance as well. And like, this is just so out of our comfort zone. I don't know what
And
came.
Nicole O'Neill, who did
And
Housewives of Sydney.
yeah, she's on Housewives of Sydney now.
Yeah.
I don't know what came over her. Juliet decided to enter, what was it?
Miss Galactica, take over the world. Miss Galaxy Universe.
Miss Galaxy.
You used to call me Miss Galactica.
Well, because I probably couldn't even think what it was. Miss Galaxy Universe, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean by that? It wasn't even a beauty pageant. What it was one of those bodybuilding pageants where she literally came out the color, I don't have, whatever fluorescent oranges.
It's a good
that
colour.
was the color
It's an
that she
Oompa Loompa.
was
Oompa
spray
Loompa colour.
tanned. Yes. And the muscles on her in these bikinis with one of those sachets, sachet with her number on it. It's brilliant. Sergio, please make sure you cut that picture in.
Sergio's like wetting himself in the corner. Did he not know this about me? Clearly
I doubt
not.
it. I doubt it.
It was like I was the amateur competing against the
I hope
pros.
Housewives bring this up. If they don't, I'm throwing it in.
In it to win it, always, as you are. I'm like, I'm just going to give it my best shot. And I remember going in for like the prelims, and my husband's like, I really have no idea what you're doing. And I just came back and said, well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. I was like, the good news is I'm busy, because the bad news is I'm going into the competition. Like, they've accepted me and I'm going to go for it. And so, yeah, it was, and there was so much more to it, because like so many of these women have come from really, really tough backgrounds and lives, and a lot of them had come from physical abuse and any form of abuse, really trying to find themselves and not having any self-esteem, and to do something that they could achieve, that be proud of their body, or maybe they lost a lot of weight and they wanted to do. I love being around a situation where like people can really change for the better. And I found it a great competition. I also understood the body as a science, having trained as an actor and a dancer, and I trained as an athlete. So this was just another challenge for me. But
I am laughing, but I have to say it shows dedication. It shows real work, because you can't get a body like that just by doing it half-assed.
No, it was like fasted cardio at 5 with my like butter in my coffee, and then a steak at like 6 for the next. I mean, my trainer's like, unless you eat, and I think for 6 weeks I ate more food than I've ever eaten in my life.
You kind of are an extremist, because you're very religious as well, aren't you?
I wouldn't say religious, but I have a faith.
Yeah.
And I think my faith really determines...
Gets you through.
Yeah, it gets me through it. It determines the decisions I make. It keeps me grounded. I mean, I think
Gets on very well with my husband. She sends him like little verses and things.
Yeah, well, I love the fact
she knows to skip my phone.
I think it's the prayer of your husband that's held you two together. So you better. So I'm always encouraging Sergio.
Yeah.
This one always needs prayer. So do I. We always need lots of prayer. So yes, I'm definitely that's definitely a big part of my core. And, I think that has also given me a perspective on life, because, there's life, you have to make the best of what you've been given. I've like you have seen mass abject poverty. That's like, we live in 0.0% of the world. 99.9% of the world don't have the opportunities we have. And, when you've been in a war zone and, you've worked with, children being rescued from sex trafficking and all of these things, that extreme pain. I mean, we don't live like that. And being grateful for everything we've got every day. I mean, you can't compare pain, but it certainly gives you a perspective. Like, I just have to Holly keeps going, darling, you're not in a war zone. It's only Housewives.
I was just about to say, it's funny to put everything into perspective, because, when you're in Housewives, nothing else matters. But when you step out, I remember just even going back to Ladies of London and fighting with Caprice about my baby shower, and you're like, oh, her baby shower, sorry. And it felt like everything. But then I was running a business with 80 employees and real bloody issues trying to run my business and raise the money and not go under and all of these things.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But that's all you can focus on.
Yeah.
At that moment, that baby shower fight seems like the most detrimental thing in your entire fucking life. And I wish it's so hard when you're in something like Housewives, and I don't know how to explain it, to actually be able to pigeonhole it and go, that's
Yeah,
park that.
and I think, like, let's be honest, you're doing a job. So in life itself, yes, it is reality, but a lot of it's smoke and mirrors. And I think in life itself, you step away from those situations, or you just think this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to
Well, I
engage
think-
in this, and I think it becomes so condensed because you're making a scene about it.
Well, I think what it is it highlights British society, right? So you all know of each other. You are friends. Some of you are closer than others or were closer than others. But I think what happens, it's super interesting to see what happens to women when you put them in a room. And, it is not made up.
No, and I think, so many people have said to me, like, so what is it like doing the show? I can't believe you're doing, what is it like? And I was like, okay, think of a Richard Attenborough documentary. It was like there's 5 killer animals in a pen. You enter and they haven't been fed for a month. That's like seriously how I feel every day. It's like, oh my gosh, we're going for the kill.
And it's really hard to explain it because so many friends of mine would come up and say, well, it must be made up. They must poke you into that. And I'm like, no, unfortunately, half of the stuff that they dig up or find, and it's the stuff that happens behind the scenes that the girls are looking for to nail you.
Which is so ridiculous. I mean, did you do that? Because I just don't even bother doing that.
Well, I haven't. No, I couldn't be bothered
I mean,
either.
that's exactly what I
barely
feel.
Google my own name.
That's exactly me too.
And
I couldn't even remember what was half of the things on my CV. And I was reading things, gosh, I remember doing that. Gosh.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
you
life
won't
is too
change
short.
it. You won't change it. And that's the thing. And I think that, you have to go in with a good heart. You have to go in with some fun. You have to be able to, otherwise it gets very dark and very fast. And I think the only way you can win something like this or to get through something like this is with humor. And I think, later what's funny is your alliances will change. I know doesn't seem like that right now, but some of your worst enemies could become your best friends.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me and Chanel. I think I said hell would freeze over before I ever talked to that woman. Now she's sitting in my house. I mean, it is the most hilarious thing. Of course, you're always wary of each other. Like in any show or game, it's a game, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
it's a game. It's a game.
It's who gets there first and who makes the impression and who does whatever. So everyone's in it to win it in a way. But to have a friendship, you've actually got Juliet, who I had, and I had 3 good years with Juliet. So she's a loyal one.
And I get Juliet. And I really admire her. And, I actually met Juliet the day she arrived in London. So she rented a home in my street for a couple of months. And the estate agent knew us and came and knocked on the door and said, hey, Juliet, can I introduce you to a Juliet? I think she had one in her tummy and one on her hip. And I just had given birth to Orlando. So he was being held and Ophelia was in my hand. And it was like this connection. So actually, I've seen the journey and how phenomenal she's done.
I'm so proud of her.
It's amazing. And
I actually remember saying to give this fucking fashion thing up. You're too old. It's not going to happen for you.
Oh my gosh, she's epic.
You're in the wrong business.
Wow.
And, because
how
fashion
wrong you
is
were.
how wrong I was.
Yeah. I love that. She's proved us all wrong.
She proved, I absolutely didn't think she'd make it in fashion. Just because it's very hard. There's a lot of young influencers,
I think, though, her maturity and she's got great taste in the way that she
does now. She didn't then. We all used to laugh. And, now she does. I actually find
Darling,
myself, don't
see,
tell her, but I actually go to her things sometimes to go, I'll just buy that.
I think I start doing that too.
Yeah.
I was like, I love that,
Yeah.
Jules. In fact, I've been wearing one of her necklaces nonstop.
Oh, I've got that.
Looks epic. But I will say,
I am
should we
proud
talk
of her.
about some really fabulous pictures of you? Do you remember that first one at the Serpentine?
Oh.
How does that keep coming up? They're going to find some really bad ones of me. It's just going to be all over. I'm just already thinking it's going to happen.
When we look back through the times and the everything, and I go back now, it's so funny because I've just spent the weekend in the countryside. And, obviously when I get back here, my stats go through the fucking roof. I think there's about 60,000 people watching my stories right now because they love the English in me.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone loves to see me with my family, at home in the countryside. And I look back and I do turn into that little girl, I think, when I get back here.
I do. When I see my parents, I'm like 13 again.
Yes, exactly. Well, my parents still send me to my bedroom. It's hilarious.
Sounds like my parents. But it's so funny because you see your parents as much as I see my parents.
Yeah, which isn't very often.
But since we're both sent to boarding school at 12.
I was at 6.
Yeah, oh, that's right. You were 6.
Yeah.
I've talked about this. Gosh.
Yes. So
They really
I think
didn't
it
like
makes-
you, did they?
No, they didn't. But, my dad, it was funny because I was just down there now and they were so sad I'd left. But like, honestly, I sit in the countryside and I'm like, I can't do it. It's like, I have to get out. I have to go and do something. I'm like, I'll see you in Dubai. I'm like, you can come to Dubai for a month and sit in my house and like with the sun. But I don't know what to talk about anymore. I don't have it in me. But what I do think is looking back at how we used to dress and we used to have that frumpy brown hair and the just, the jigsaw clothes and all of this. I'm so proud of, I've just said, I want your shoes, I want your jacket. I'm going away now and I want her to just get undressed and leave me the entire outfit
I can
she's
leave you
wearing.
anything you want.
I know, but how would I get you home?
But listen, I think just talking about family and, it was interesting. I was being interviewed for an Australian article the other day and just they were asking me, the juxtaposition of how I grew up, little Jillaroo in northern Queensland, Australia. It was real like Ocker Aussie. It wasn't, wasn't a big city.
Yes, why did you have such a British upbringing?
Because my parents are British, so I'd go home and my father would be playing Mozart and Chopin. They were educated. My mother I'd grow up on, Pollyanna and Huckleberry Finn and Pride and Prejudice.
Huckleberry Finn!
I know, the best movies ever.
And every teeth out.
Well, yes. But every summer we would go home to, the family home to England. So I would go from this like barefoot little like cowgirl into smocks, and do you remember the little red leather T-bar shoes with the socks pulled up to under the knee?
Yes, have them all.
Which was like so crazy, but it was not odd to me. It just was how my life was.
I had Norland nannies with gloves in little brown uniforms with a big
remember the Norland? I think I interviewed a Norland nanny for my children.
We used to have to wash our hands before we could touch our brothers and sisters. Isn't that nuts?
That didn't happen in Australia. You didn't even wear shoes in Australia.
Yeah.
I think I spent most of my days climbing trees.
Yeah, no. I mean, I wasn't home, was I? I came home, I think, 3 times a year.
But going from that to boarding school, where I was wearing a boater, white gloves, and curtsying every time I opened the door, was surreal. But do I regret it? No, I loved every second. I know we've talked about this as boarding school.
I hated it.
And I loved it.
I hated it. I was in boot camp from 6 to 18. It does something very weird to you. But to give my parents their dues, and everyone says to me, do you ever speak about it? I never speak about it with my parents because what can they do about it now?
You can't live in hindsight or regret. Like, it's what it is.
And they know. But what has it done for me now? I probably wouldn't be this fiercely independent woman that no matter what the fuck has happened to her, has come out on top.
I would agree. You have to dig deep and you have to be a fighter to survive.
Yeah.
As much as I loved it because I was doing everything I loved doing. I mean, we were singing and dancing and every single day. It was a Yehudi menu in like accredited music school. Like Lady Di went there. Jane Seymour. It was, Dame Alicia Markova set this school up. It was a very, very different school. So for me, I was just living the dream. I was doing all the things I always wanted to do. However, what was not normal was getting a fax every 3 months from your parents or having a phone card when you had like beep and a 1-minute conversation.
Yeah, and it was cut off. It's like it was in prison. Yeah.
So you had to really navigate things yourself. Like you weren't talking to them every day.
Nope.
So you're right. You had to like find that strength within you to get through. And girls are tough.
Really tough.
And in that environment, highly competitive.
Mean.
They're mean. And, you and I are not nasty people. Like, we don't like the fight. And I think when we're pushed up, our backs pushed up against the wall.
You retreat a bit.
Yeah, I retreat.
You take it in, you just deal with it. So you suffer in silence.
That's correct.
Which I think,
absolutely
whenever
correct.
I had a problem, I never shared it. I've always dealt with it.
I completely
I've always
agree.
found a solution, which again has stand me in good stead now because, I can literally get myself, I think, out of anything.
I think that is 100% correct. But you see the generation, like my daughter, I mean, she's so much more emotionally intelligent than I was at that age. She's like, my therapist, like, Mummy, I think this is like, we need to discuss this. And I'm like, why do we need to discuss this? She's like, don't be doing this now, Mummy. Like, she's got so much like pearls of wisdom. She turns into my therapist. But saying that, it's a whole different way of living. She hated boarding school. She came back straight away. Orlando loved boarding school because he's a boy and he's active and he plays sports every day and he's still there. But boarding school now is not like it was. I mean, he's back at home like every 5 days.
My sons are firmly at home. I don't know. I can't do it. One of my sons does want to go. And I'm very against it just because we live in Dubai. We don't have the problems that they have here.
I think if you're living in Dubai, it's a completely different kettle of fish.
And
you have the space there. We don't have space here if they're sporting.
I feel like they have everything they need at home. And I just, even if I don't see him, I feel like I know he's in the house with me. So I'm a bit of they're mummy's boys. They'll hate me for saying that, but they are.
Listen, every boy is a mummy's boy. I mean, Sergio's definitely not a mummy's boy, is he?
Sergio's absolutely a mummy's boy, and he's his wife's boy. I mean, yes, he's absolutely joined to my hip.
I think it's like and also my son is very like me, so we rub each other up the wrong way all the time, but equally we get each other. You know, he's got this sparkle in him that's just unique.
I think some of you are going to like die when I say this again, but you know, the weird thing is I've had obviously my husband since he was 24 years old, and that is for a guy a very young, informative age too. So he's actually been in my house with me from such a young age that actually I think he's, you know, his whole being is formed around, you know, everything we've lived together.
Well, in the reverse of that's very similar to when Tiggy met me. Tiggy saw me at 21. We met at 23. We dated and I got married at 27. So the same thing. And I think those
are your formative years.
Absolutely.
Out of school and everything like that.
And 19 years we've just celebrated.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, he's got a lot of patience. He's a saint. You know, he's a saint.
Well, so Sergio. So, you know.
we landed some good ones.
We did. But it's actually something very special about having that sort of time with your husband or your wife, because, you know, I think the difference is when you're the same age, maybe you don't learn as much or suck as much up from each other.
I completely agree.
We have.
And I think as well with wisdom and age, you know, you react differently. And I think, you know, all the things that maybe if you were 24 at the time that you were navigating and wanting to do with your life, you wouldn't have that time to be with him.
No. And I wouldn't have had the wisdom to, you know, and give him. And I think watching me has just made him grow into the man that he is today.
And having known you, my husband says to me all the time, I think women get more beautiful with age. Like, you look extraordinary. You're like a completely different woman than I saw. But I think that's a lot to do with how you feel on the inside. But look how good you look. I mean, he definitely brings out the best in you, girl.
Yeah, well.
Although I am going to have to have a word with your surgeon. Because you look insane.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. So, yes, that was the best decision I've ever made, having a facelift at this age. Let me tell you, ladies, it's, you know.
Well, you've told me that. You're like, don't wait till you're 60, Jules. Get it done ASAP.
But you look amazing.
You know, we've got a little bit of makeup on. It does help.
So, you know, especially being on TV now as a woman, and thank you for saying my facelift is amazing. I you know.
And let's be honest, when you had it, I would say it wasn't even a year when I saw you in New York.
Oh, you thought it was very tight.
No, I was up close and personal with you in the bathroom. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You were putting on makeup, and I was like this far from your face. Insane. So I really have. I've seen it, like up close and personal. She could wear no makeup. She looks awesome.
No, I've been super lucky. I mean, I don't know whether it's luck or what it is, but I think, you know, this was the best decision of my life. Do you feel pressure now doing something like Housewives to like a certain standard of beauty? And what are your tips? Because I have said to you, you're looking better than ever. And I know you haven't had surgery. So what are you doing?
So well, first of all, thank you. And secondly, I think 100%. I mean, you know the camera's here and it's going to pick up every flaw. I think one thing about your healing and one thing about, you know, the way that we do life is we are really healthy in what we eat. We, you know, have the right amount of sleep, well, not enough sleep, but exercise. We don't fill our bodies with preservatives and additives as much as we can. We keep clean. I mean, I don't know. Is that...
I'm a bit of a Haribo addict.
Yeah, Haribo. Okay, so we've got a few things. So it's not like you will sit and eat, you know, terrible food over and over and over. So the body inside is, you know, really important for me, and I've had to really, and I've always been healthy. I think Aussies generally are healthy because we eat a lot of fresh food. But have I? Yes. I mean, obviously I've always worked out, and I think you get to a certain age and the tricks don't work as well. And I think a couple of years ago I thought, you know, you could just skip a few meals, have a few juices, and you're back in your outfit.
That doesn't work.
So I think,
that's,
you know,
hitting your 40s.
Yeah. So I think being proactive.
Are you perimenopausal?
I'm not sure quite yet, actually.
You know, it's 8 years.
So it's
Could
8
be. How old are you?
Getting there. 40, the late 40s.
Late 40s. Well, you might be. You should actually check it out.
I should. I need to speak to your doctor. You gave me his number, one who's giving me all the bits and bobs.
Amazing. Yeah, my peptides.
So you asked me, polynucleotides I've been using.
Which is the salmon sperm to the rest of you.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, I did that this morning, by the way.
Very painful collagen injections, but they've been amazing. I've been having regular facials.
See, just quickly, for the rest of the people out there, if you add that all up, I'm not sure a facelift isn't cheaper.
Do you know, you're probably right. You're
That was
probably
just
right.
my take on it all, because I started doing all those things with threads and everything, and I added it up in a year, and I was like, although I was scared, the facelift was cheaper
Isn't that
than
interesting?
to continue to do it.
Well, I think, you know, a little tweak here and there can make a big difference
Well,
if you've
those
got a
aren't
good
little
artist.
tweaks, are they? We have to have if you think about it, we've got the two types of injections.
That's correct.
We've got different lasers that
Little
I
bit
was
of
doing.
Botox.
Botox.
Yep.
It's a lot of money.
It is
It's
a lot of money.
lot of money.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think
And how often?
I try at the moment, while I've been filming, at least once a week, if not twice a week, going for a facial.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
But you've been doing that.
Yes. I mean, I'm here, but I'm on holiday, obviously, so it's different for me. I just wanted a quick facial, and I'm very lucky. And I think, you know, I was seeing an old friend, so I don't do them every week. I really don't. When I'm in Dubai, I'm the face of a brand. But, you know, to do that every single week, all those injections and that.
I think for me, though, when we're putting a lot of makeup on while we're
you have
filming
to.
and the spray tans, I mean, just to clean the skin. But in normal life, in the downtime now, you know, even once a month, just keeping it refreshed. I think you've got to have a good doctor, though, that knows, like not having to do too much, but just doing just enough.
It's also not falling into that terrible housewives thing that I did, we all did, of too much makeup.
Correct.
I think when you have a makeup artist, you're tired. I look back some of the Dubai ones, especially because Dubai is Dubai and they wanted this sort of look for us all. You know, it's just not, it's ridiculous. They put so much makeup on me and actually aged me, but I do understand it was before my facelift, my eyelids were heavy and all of these kind of things, but I look younger now.
But also you've got to find the right person that can do that for you. So, you know, especially in London.
tired.
But you think of London, we've got great makeup artists, but you know, they're off in Cannes. You've suddenly got another one. You're getting hair artists, but they're off doing Chopard. They're doing, you know, all the fashion shows. So getting a team full time,
It's not easy.
It's not that easy, even though we are in London. And, you know, so I think if you can be a master
You
of
and I are
understanding.
all always fighting over the same hairdresser.
It's because we have the best.
Yeah.
But
So
that's true.
it's really difficult. And then you end up getting tired. You're doing makeup twice a day sometimes. So you just, you know, you kind of let the makeup artist take over. And it was a huge mistake.
There was one scene on the show I've got to tell you about. So one of the girls that I'd had, she's like the Charlotte Tilbury, you know, spray, you can refresh. But what she didn't tell me was like you can refresh so you can add some more. Not like it refreshes. So I'm going around with my Charlotte. Anyway, I'm doing the scene. I've been filming in the day. And there's literally, I'm on the top of the mountain. There is vertical wind and rain. And I'm having to do this scene with cameras in my face. Oh my gosh, insane. And I can't even open my eyes because tears
melted.
are rolling. So I get back in the car. No, wait for it. I get back in the car and I look at my phone and I've had the camera around the wrong way by mistake. I nearly had a heart attack. Like globules of foundation. So that is going to be the scene that everyone in the world sees. I mean, looking the most unattractive, like globules of caked up foundation on my face.
It's awful. It was so funny starting Housewives, my side, because obviously some of the girls were models, and they'd be like, "Oh, I only want to be photographed from this side, and I only want this side." And I'm like, "Yeah, good luck with that. You have to just let go."
So yeah, back to your question, what you asked me about how I feel. I think I'm old enough and ugly enough that it is what it is. Like, I can't worry about these things. You know, I just have to get on with it. You know, you just have to get on with it. I mean, we do our best. We do our best. It's not going to be good enough for everyone, but you know, it's me.
And I have to say that's endearing. Like, some of the best feedback I ever got from Housewives is like when I'm hangover and I've got my mask on, my face, and my makeup is still on from the night before, and I'm, you know, people are like, I love seeing that you can be that glamorous, but that you can look like shit
Didn't
too.
we have this conversation when we'd spend all this money on a makeup artist and you were like, I'm leaving it on so I can get the max out of it. And I'm sure there's been days of like, how my makeup artist come the next day to do it. She's like, Juliet, you didn't even remove the eye makeup. I'm like, it was so good. I just was going to see how long it lasted.
I'm terrible. Everyone's like, what is your beauty routine? My beauty routine is, there is no beauty routine. My beauty routine is I wake up and then just
Have a coffee.
Yeah, that is my beauty routine. So, you know.
No, I do try and cleanse my face. I think when we've got so much on it, you know, every night before bed, my poor husband, I've got this thing on my hair to keep my blow dry. I've got my special anti-wrinkle pillow. I put my mouth guard in. It's like, He's like, hi, darling, that's so attractive. I'm like, honey, can't look this beautiful. And just like, we don't wake up like this, honey.
My poor husband has the same. I go to sleep with an eye mask and earplugs, and he's 20, he's 30 years old. He's like, that is not how I saw my wife. I think in his head, it was going to be a Victoria's Secret model with a thong on. The only way he
Darling,
can see
we
that.
are that. They see us as that every night.
You can see it in a magazine. That's about it. In his dreams. On Instagram. Thank God Instagram feeds that to him.
Thank God for filters.
Yes.
Right? I mean, people will see me in real life and they'll go, oh my gosh, I've been looking at you on Instagram.
Well, I have to say, I'm going to give you a bit of shit for that. You really filter yourself.
But my daughter,
And I'm
she's
like,
so on it. She's
why?
like, Mummy, you cannot do that.
You cannot do that. It's like, why? You're a public person now. You don't need to put that many filters on your face. You're so pretty.
Well, I don't put that many.
You do.
Do I?
You do. You look like a fucking porcelain doll.
Oh, we love that.
Yeah, no. So this is Juliet in real life. We will not be filtering her.
And by the way, this is like makeup that's been on since 6 o'clock this morning after I
look
went from the gym.
fabulous.
So not next to Miss Glam here. So it is what it is. This
done
is what you will
anything.
see.
I love it. And we all can't wait to see more of you
Aw.
and all your beauty tips. Thank you, Juliet.
Thank you so much for having me.